Hey YouTube, and thanks for watching Junkworks Garage. This video is going to be about the Sony ZVE10, and most of it's going to be what I kind of don't like about it. So don't take this as in this camera sucks. Take this as in I'm a novice when it comes to filming still. I've been doing it for 10 years, but I've never had a camera that had as many gizmos and gadgets as this one. So I am still having growing pains with it. So if you're similar to me and don't have the background in filming or even camera stuff, I just don't have any background in it other than I've been doing YouTube for 10 years, but all the cameras I've had don't have near the qualities and capabilities of this one, so I'm having some growing pains. So don't take it as I hate the camera, but these are some of the pitfalls I am having with this camera. And if there's anybody out there that can give me some guidance, I would truly appreciate any information down below. That's the easiest way to get a hold of me. So, without further ado, here are some pitfalls of this Sony ZVE10 camera. Well, I've been using my camera for a while, and for the most part, I'm enjoying it. It's the Sony ZVE10, if I haven't already put that in the video here. I'm not sure how these are going to cut together because I'm just kind of doing some video of how things that come up while I'm using this camera over the next while. The steadiness of the camera is not so great. I have definitely having trouble figuring out how to walk with the camera and do stuff. And another thing about it is its size. For what I do where I'm doing mechanical stuff and getting down in engine bays and things like that, I may end up having to go with a smaller camera for some of those things down the line when I can afford another camera. And another thing, they're not really selling those small cameras, the point and shoot type cameras anymore. And there's another thing. I keep looking over here at the screen, but I'm glad I have the screen, but I need to set the shot up and then turn the screen away from me, which then I don't have the light on here telling me whether or not the camera's rolling, but at least I'll look at the camera that way. Back to the point, they don't sell the point and shoot cameras anymore, so therefore the smaller cameras are just kind of going away. I don't know why, especially in this day of YouTube and things like that where people are filming everything, although I think the reason why is because people are just using their phones. And two things, I don't like the phones as far as the ones that do well for those kind of video things. And another thing, I use my phone for a phone, and I've noticed like the rest of my family who uses it for everything like everybody else in the world, their phones don't last very long. I got a phone that's probably, I don't know, this is my second one that I bought that's exactly the same one, because I don't want to learn a new phone either. I'm not a big technology person, in case you haven't noticed, but regardless, I'm doing a technology video sort of. But this is a good video for those of you that are like me and really don't know a whole lot about technology, don't know a lot about filmmaking. I'm more of a mechanic that's trying to film than a filmer that's trying to mechanic. We'll put it that way. But regardless, the smaller ones work better for down in the engine compartments and in small areas and up underneath the vehicle. I'm more worried about the lenses on this, although yet again, I can replace this lens at least, and I can put a cover on it. I have a cover on it. That's the other thing about this camera. We're just going to go through all the different things I don't like, obviously, here. When I put my hand here, it seems to focus on my hand rather than my face. I don't know. Or at least when I point at things. It might, because I have my face here, do well. But when I'm trying to show something that's 5 feet away and I'm pointing to it like I always do in my videos, it focuses on my hand rather than what I want it to be on. And I'm sure there's a setting somewhere. I just need to figure it all out. So these are just kind of some of the pitfalls of this camera that I'm having trouble with. The biggest thing is probably the shaky cam when I'm walking. I do tend to hold the camera in my hand. Therefore, I'm going to make something I'm hoping that'll maybe work for that. I know you can buy stuff, but they're all fairly expensive. And I mean, 50 bucks is expensive to me. I'd rather buy a part for my car than buy something for filmmaking, which is probably why it's taken me over 10 years to get 20,000 subscribers. So I apologize for that, but I'm never going to be a filmmaker as far as that's concerned. I'm slowly but surely advancing in my abilities to do that, but that's kind of why I bought this camera, was to upgrade some of my abilities to do things, but I have found it's made it more difficult to make things. I got to do more settings, I got to do more work to make it look right, and I have not figured that out on this camera yet quite. So I don't know if my videos are getting better because of it, unfortunately. It is 4K, but my other camera shot, I don't know if it shot 4K, but it was a form of 4K, I guess. I could format it to 4K anyway. I bought a cheapy microphone from Amazon. It seems to be working. Still testing that as well. And I have a video on that as well if you want to go check that out. I have a playlist, which is a technology playlist for a few things like this, that these will be going on. So go check that out and you'll be able to find that for my fairly inexpensive microphone I have here. But back to the camera. Where the microphone port is right in front of where the screen is. So if I do have the screen out and I'm looking at the screen trying to figure things out, this is completely in the way. So for the ZVE10 camera people, Sony, that they should try and make that port either on the bottom, side, top, somewhere else besides where they put it, if they're going to put it there and you got a screen coming out that direction. Or make the screen so it flips up or to the other side or something like that. So regardless, that is another little down point. So basically, there's so far kind of all the things. Everything else, I really so far like the camera. It does do kind of you can make it work as a point and shoot to some extent. You just got to be careful of where you're putting it and pointing it. Overall, the size of it is not a ton bigger than my old camera as far as the actual body part, but the lens part sticking out, it also goes out quite a bit further as you're shooting. Like, it comes in quite a bit, so it makes it look thinner. But as soon as you start recording, the lens pops out a little ways and makes it even bigger. So you got to kind of pay attention to where that is when you're in tight spaces. So I am going to have to figure that out as well. Another thing about this camera, I was having problems with the focus, which might be somewhere on this video actually, but I have now messed with some stuff, and I believe anyway, when I point to things, it's not zooming right in on my hand. Well, part of that is I slowed down the focus so that it would take longer before it focused. I had it like as fast as it would go. And I think by doing that, that gives me time to point to something and then bring my hand back. So, yet again, testing it out. Another thing, if you'll notice now, I am actually not filming in 4K. So you have to see if you noticed a difference between the beginning of this video and this part here. I bought 2 of these right here. And they're not super expensive off Amazon, but they're not super cheap either. And I had just got done buying a bunch of these for my other camera right before I broke it. You don't have to have those SD cards to film and still have pretty good quality. Like I said, that's what I'm on, one of these SD cards. And I'm still filming, I'm still going to edit it in 4K, but technically it's just high definition or whatever. I don't know the difference. I don't seem to see a difference, but my eyes aren't great. So, yet again, if you guys can comment in this video and tell me if you can tell a big difference between the beginning of this and right now, I would appreciate it. But I have a bunch of these, so I'm going to keep filming with these at least till they go away. And as I need to buy more, then, then I'll start stepping up a little bit and spending more money. But right now, I don't need to do that. And I feel that for most of my videos, this is probably good enough, especially if I edit it into the 4K. Yet again, comment below what you think about that. The batteries absolutely do not last more than about an hour and and a half at the most, I would say. By the time I film a part, I'm pretty much changing out a battery if it's a long video at all. So depending on what kind of videos you do, I have found I definitely am glad I went and bought these. They're lithium ion battery. They are the, what are they? Power Extra. I don't know. They had fairly good reviews. They weren't super expensive and they fit this camera. And I will say, I think they last longer than the one that came with it as far as the Sony is concerned. I don't know if that Sony has a different numbers as far as the rating on how long it's supposed to last, but I do think these last a little bit longer, at least the ones I got. And it came with the charger here. This charger does work with my Sony battery. I'm glad I have 5 batteries because I rotate through them fairly quickly, and I found that I rotate through them so quick. I have this bag here that I kind of keep everything in right now. I rotate through them so quick. I numbered them so that I'm making sure I'm running them in a sequence. I don't want to run this one 3 times and then charge it up and then run another one and then run this one again. And that way also, if you find that one number is really not working very well, and you know that battery probably is going to need to be replaced or something pretty soon. So definitely need more batteries. Another big one about this is the SD cards. I think I talked about them already. That's where I keep my SD cards. They are the pain in the butt to get out of this thing. What you need to do is make sure you're over the top of a couch or a cushion or something fairly soft. Push that thing up in there as far as you can push it, kinda, and then just let your thumb fall off of it and it'll shoot out of there. Much easier to get out, but you take a chance of breaking things. But otherwise, getting my fat fingers up in there to get these things out is near impossible. So that seems to be the easiest way to get them out. And another problem I have with this is the on-off switch. I wish I had a button, but I think the reason they do that is the buttons tend to get accidentally pushed as to where switches get shut off and on. But I do find that I just leave my camera running sometimes, and it hasn't got super hot yet, but I know in the summer, especially if I'm filming outside, that could overheat the camera. So it's something I'm going to have to deal with, is remembering to shut it off and on and that kind of thing. But it really is, at least for my big fat non-working fingers, kind of difficult. I also do have the protective case on top of it as well, so that is some of the problem I have. I got to reach down even further into the abyss, so to speak, to shut it off. But I'm getting used to it. I really don't want this to turn into I hate this camera, because there's a lot of things that are very good about this camera for the price. Problem is the things for the price end up being a little quirks that I don't enjoy very much. Plus, I keep forgetting the microphone. You probably didn't hear any of that. So what I was talking about was the switch to turn the camera off. But in doing that, I also always forget to use my microphone, which the microphone on the camera doesn't work really well enough to not use a microphone. That's one of the bigger downsides for me. The way I film, I'm usually doing something here, doing something there, and I've found this to be pretty difficult for some things, and I've had to reshoot some things, such as now. I am planning on, in the future, as I get things figured out on this camera and start being able to use it more properly, we'll say, and get a little bit more guidance with it, then I do plan on telling you about some of the better things. I mean, the first thing off, obviously, it's 4K and it's true 4K video, which should help my video some. But from there on, I don't know enough about this camera yet to really know the good things about it. I do know if I could just leave the camera where it is and not move it, that would be a huge help, but I can't always film that way. Now get out there and get your junk working. Thanks for watching Junk Works Garage, where I'm proud to say I'm a jack of all and obviously master of none. You all have a good one.